Morning to everyone on the West Indies Cricket Development Academy channel as we continue to bring you coverage of the 2024 Cricket World Cup between the West Indies and the rest of the world. We are co-hosting with the United States of America. The first game starts at 7 p.m. American time in Texas between Canada and the United States. But we are here to preview the West Indies versus us, the West Indies versus Papua New Guinea in the upcoming World Cup. And that game will be staged in Guyana at the Province International Stadium. That is the national stadium there in Guyana, West Indies versus Papua New Guinea. The first game for the West Indies in the 2024 ICC Cricket World Cup. I have alongside me fellow journalist, the honorary secretary of the Cricket Hall of Fame that is based in Connecticut, United States, Mr. Dale Brown. And I have also the executive chair of the Cricket Hall of Fame there in Connecticut, United States, Michael Chambers, that will be taking care of the comments for us today. Also, Cricket Hall of Famer John Melbourne continue to be with us. Recently nominated um, Hall of Famer to be inducted in the Cricket Hall of Fame come October 5th, 2024. Mr. Leon Francis also with us, president of the cricket show in United States of America. And that show based in Florida and takes care also of the West Coast in the United States. We also have with us recently nominated as well, Mr. Dennis E., a fellow journalist, and he is slated to be inducted in the Cricket Hall of Fame come October 5th as well. And we have last but not least with us, ECB Level 3 coach from Barbados, lived for many years in England and coach and take care of many youngsters in Barbados. Even recently brought a team to India to participate in a tournament. Was also a former executive of the West Indies Cricket Development Academy, and we still maintain a relationship after so many years. And many youths respect him in Barbados for the marvelous job that he has done for them, Mr. Norman Brooklyn from Barbados. And he will be giving us some thoughts on the Kensington Oval that the World Cup final will be staged. And in a moment, we will gauge his thoughts on Barbados and what they are doing and the wonderful work that the Barbados Prime Minister has been doing over there. From the fans in the United States, Jamaica, in Kingston, especially in New York, greetings to you all in Georgetown, Guyana, in Chennai and Mumbai in India, also in New Delhi in India, in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, all over the world that you choose to join us. Thank you this morning for once again being on with us in as we look to cover the ICC Cricket World Cup that will be co-hosted by the United States on the West Indies. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you all for joining one after the other. Please greet the several countries that are with us and also the viewing fans.
A pleasant morning to you, Mr. Coughlin. Thanks for inviting me. And want to say good morning to all the panelists. Hope you have a wonderful show this morning, and hope wherever you are, you're enjoying a very wonderful weather condition. In my neck of the woods, It's fine, and I just hope the same for you, wherever you may be. Leon Francis.
Morning, from Barbados, sunny and hot Barbados. Thanks for having me on, Junior. It's always a pleasure to be part of your programs. I look forward to healthy discussion. And a welcome and good morning to the rest of the panel.
Once again, thank you so much, Junior, for having me on this morning. And certainly, we look forward to a great 2024 Cricket World Cup to be hosted by the West Indies and the United States. Thank you so much again, Junior. We seem to be getting a feedback, Junior. I don't know why that's
Yes, somebody phone is being on and the feedback is. Please, can somebody just put the phone and just turn off the sound of the video? You could still watch the video. Turn off the sound from the video, please. We're getting a huge feedback. Go ahead, Mr. Leon.
Yeah, a pleasant good morning to you, Mr. Coughlin. Thanks for inviting me. Still hearing the feedback. But nevertheless, we just want to say good morning to all the panelists and all the viewers, wherever you may be. Hope that you are having a wonderful weather this morning. We are indeed in my neck of the woods having a pleasant day, and I just wish the same for wherever you may be, and hope that we'll have a great show this morning. Thanks for inviting me, Mr. Coughlin, once again.
Thank you, man. Mr. Eat and Mr. Eat, go ahead.
Good morning to you, fellow panelists, and of course, good morning and welcome to all the listeners and viewers from around the world, wherever you are. Today, we are delighted to be with you again to discuss some of the happenings in the Cricket World Cup that we know gets underway today in Dallas, Texas. So we will be seeing what we can find, what we can enjoy as far as the Cricket World Cup goes. So thank you, and back to you, Mr. Coughlin.
Mr. Chambers, we know you will be manning the comments, but just greet the fans a little.
This is Mike Chambers from the USA Cricket Hall of Fame. Welcome all, and we hope we have a good show this morning. Thank you.
Gentlemen, we have met a few days ago and we talked extensively about the depleted squad that Australia would have sent to the Caribbean and what was expected from the West Indies to be done to them. And none of us hide it that we expect a commanding victory from the West Indies. And a depleted 9-man squad from Australia suffer a big defeat from the West Indies. How pleased are you with, as we look to review and then go into the first game of the World Cup? And it worth mentioning that the West Indies, after 20 overs, was 257 for the last of 4, with Captain Powell, batting superbly for the West Indies. Australia, in the end, made 222 for the last of 7, the West Indies winning by 35 runs. John Melbourne, how pleased are you with the victory?
Well, I am pleased with the victory. Again, good morning, listeners. Yes, I am pleased with the victory. And it's always good to win. But it's interesting to look at the lineup that West Indies sent to the wicket to score those 257 runs. And I am really not expecting that lineup in the opening game tomorrow against Papua New Guinea. There are just a couple of players that are missing, I think, from the lineup. I think Brandon King will be in. Of course, Andre Russell didn't get a chance to bat. And I think he or bowl, and I think he will be in the squad. But further to that, Junior, Mike sent me a revised lineup, if you may, of the West Indies team, and I noticed O'Shane Thomas being in the squad and no Obed McCoy. Is there a change? Has O'Shane Thomas replaced Obed McCoy?
No. The World Cup squad that was announced finally just before the final game with the West Indies and South Africa back here in Jamaica remains the same from all indication inside and outside of the West Indies camp. There has been no change. We must note that some players are traveling with the team just in case of injury, but Obey McCoy remains in the team and is raring and ready to go from what we heard in the camp.
Okay, thank you. And again, of course, big victory for the West Indies. Hope that we can continue to win throughout when the real series begins tomorrow.
Go ahead, Leon.
Good morning. My take on the victory by the West Indies, a win is a win, regardless of depletion of the side. I think if you start on a winning note, it's contagious, and I just hope that they continue to do so. What can I say? We just wait for the future. I personally feel that West Indies is trying to feel out what their possible final 11 would be for the opening match, and this match didn't do them any displeasure. If you notice also that they have moved up the ranking to fourth, and that is significant, and that's what matters. I just wish that they carry on this winning spirit into the opening game tomorrow. And the second match of the tournament.
Absolutely. Mr. Brown talked the other day about the winning mentality being carried through and the need for us to beat Australia despite of them being depleted, because if Australia were to win, then West Indies would have a major problem, where confidence is concerned, and also where our position in the winning column. And he spoke about the streak of winning. How pleased are you, Mr. Brown, that which you predict is now closer to reality than ever?
Thank you, Mr. Codlin. Greetings to the viewers worldwide, and good morning to fellow panelists. It's a pleasure being here with you all. The victory in that warm-up match was, for me, expected, and it was even more impressive as far as the batting was concerned. Very impressive outing. The person who scored the least was Shea Hope. He scored 14 runs off only 8 deliveries, and was the main contributor in a first wicket stand of 18. So even with him only scoring those runs, it was still a positive. Pooran, you could not have expected anything better from him. He was excellent, and we hope he carries this form into the World Cup itself. The captain, Rovman Powell, ditto for him. Johnson Charles. But for me, the most impressive was the finishing capabilities shown by Shafeen Rutherford. And if there was only any doubt about him cementing his place in the squad, that inning should have erased all of those doubts, because he came in at the back end of the inning and really lit up the scene, scoring 47 undefeated runs off 18 deliveries. So the batting to me showed great um, performances. We expect Brandon King to replace one of the openers, and at this point, it would appear to be Hope, because Johnson Charles once again was amongst the runs and laid the foundation. Actually, he was the third person out and was involved in some, 18 runs for the first wicket partnership, 90 runs with Pooran, although he didn't contribute much in either of those, and then 54 runs for the third wicket with his captain, Powell. So he has performed well the last two matches, and we hope that with an improved mindset, he will continue to be consistent. But Hetmeyer also got a knock, did not do anything spectacular. And I think what he did was made sure he did not get out. And he didn't do anything to command a place or demand a place in the 11 for the first match, as far as I'm concerned. We expect King to come in, and of course, Andre Russell will come in. We believe Chase will also come into the squad. The question is, what will the bowling unit be comprised of? Will they go with the two spinners? Will they go with the out-and-out pace of Shamar Joseph, who got some stick, but showed great resiliency after being smacked around the ground for in 3 deliveries? They scored almost 18 runs off him. And then the next delivery, he clean bowled David Warner. That was showing me resilience, and it was a good delivery with which he bowled to Warner. And he stuck to his game plan, regardless of what the outcome were of the previous deliveries, and clean bowled him. Moti continues to bowl extremely well and take wickets. And I don't see how they will not play him in the final 11. Alzari Joseph, again, as vice captain, he is going to play. So overall, a wonderful showing by the West Indies, and fielding, of course, as we know, which is very important. The fielding was highlighted by Romario Shepherd's excellent catch, running in and diving forward from long on to get rid of a very dangerous looking Nathan Ellis. Not to forget, Australia did score 222 runs, depleted as they were. So, the bowlers stuck to their plans, and I'm very pleased with the overall effort, Mr. Coughlin. Thank you.
I know what you have said, and you have glowingly outlined Sheffield Rutherford. And I use a word the last time we were on here of him being undercooked, and suggest that he must not be featured in the starting 11 because the lack of game time, and along with the head coach, I side with Darren Sammy in saying that Rutherford have not played a game since February. And Mr. Heath did not take lightly with what I said. And it seems as if Mr. Heath would have had one over me now, because Rutherford have performed superbly and admirably in this game against Australia. Depleted as they are still a very good bowling team. And Mr. Heath, you must be happy to see that Rutherford would have proven you right.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Coughlin. Yes, I was delighted to see the performance of Sheffield Rutherford. The question I have, though, is whether or not there will be a place in the team, in the team for this match and for the matches to come for Sherfane. But he has certainly demonstrated that in spite of his layoff, as you put it, he does have what it takes. Overall, I think that the Australian suffered the kind of going over that one expect. When you come unprepared, then this is usually what happens. If you don't prepare, then you definitely are setting yourself up to fail. Nonetheless, the West Indian bowlers were not as penetrative as I would have expected at this very late stage, because tomorrow is the big one. And the Australians had at least 7 of their regular IPL contributors who shone so well in the IPL that was recently completed. They were not there. So I have to take some delight, I suppose you could say, in seeing the West Indies performed and the batting strength that they displayed. But the bowling needs to become a little bit more penetrative, and somebody needs to whisper in the ears of our bowlers that you don't always have to attack with the short pitch delivery, as Shamar showed with his attack on David Warner. Well done, West Indies, and we're looking forward to seeing some more excitement as the World Cup gets underway today and, of course, for the rest of June. Back to you, Mr. Codlin. May I just add, Mr. Chambers, Mr. Codlin's back. May I just add that, you asked the question about whether or not they'd be taking 2 spinners. I think, yes, they'll be taking 2 spinners, but the 2 spinners that I anticipate will be there will be Ruston Chase and Gudakesh Moti.
Wonderful. Mr. Norman is based in Barbados, and the last time Australia was here for a series, Australia came to Barbados, where they suffered 4-1 defeat. They suffered at the hands of the West Indies during that series here in the Caribbean. Norman, how much of a difference does this World Cup and the warm-up game differs from what would have gone on? Is Australia, despite of the depletion, they are a 9-man team, and the West Indies at full strength in this warm-up game? But if they were to be at full strength, would they not suffer the same defeat that they would have gotten in Trinidad, bearing that the last time they were here in the Caribbean, they suffered 4-1 at the hands of the West Indies? Your take on that?
Good morning, panel. Good morning, listeners. Yes, I have a few things. I hear what everyone was saying, but I'm going to start with the trial match, the practice match first. One of the key things that we forgot to mention in this practice match, it was good to get the guys on the path. It's always good to get guys when they come back from overseas to get. And I figured that was the main purpose. One of the things that was missing from that match was the pressures of the cricket game. It was like a free-spirited game. It was there to get the people out, to get a runabout on the park and come together. But as far as the cricket is concerned, the pressures of an international T20 or World Cup T20 would have been missing from that game. And by now, we know all the guys who are capable of handling the pressure in the West Indies team. By now, I believe the selectors would have got the formation of their batting lineup, and all ready for tomorrow's game. We can't be just waiting until the last game, which was played. That match was scheduled to be played. One thing we got Again, that match was slated to be played 5 days before the start of the World Cup. I believe that is something that they will have to look at again, because no practice match should be playing like that. Just a couple of games and people coming from the IPL. That is why Australia would have been a depleted side. And the team would not have been pressing so hard when you know that you have a game 2 matches around. Yes, again, we must say that when Australia came to the West Indies, yes, some of their key players were missing. But I have a lot of belief in this West Indies team. I think this is one of the best West Indies teams that's been selected to play in a World Cup. And I expect good things from this team. I expect that when we go on to play the rest of the games, we will make the semifinals. If we had to play Australia again right now, that we will beat them. The confidence in this team is very, very high at this moment, and they're playing together. That's one of the things that we can say. We have all bases covered in this team. I hope and I know that the coach who wants to be a winner, he is a winner. I've been preparing this team now for the last couple of weeks for the upcoming World Cup. So all in all, I believe in the West Indies team. I back them. I think they are well prepared, and we expect a grand performance from the West Indies team. We're talking Barbados here. That would be great to see a West Indies India finals, which would be tremendous, but we shall wait and see. But this West Indies team is a very good team, and I expect good things from them.
Sir, it's interesting that you mentioned the talk on the street there in Barbados, and we'll be coming back to you.
Mr. Coughlin has left us.
So, Mr. Melbourne, what do you think now that it looks like Chase will be in the game?
Well, I have Chase in my 11 for the World Cup. I've always had Chase. I always thought he was. I think, I think in one of our broadcasts, I mentioned that I thought that Coach Sammy is trying to find somebody to play the role of a Marlon Samuels, and I think he has probably settled on Chase to play that role. Somebody, he's not the so-called run getter, so he will be the cog around the run getters in the big hitters in the side. He'll be expected to hold up an end while the big hitters score runs from the other side, from the other end. So, but as I say, I've always had Raston Chase in my 11. And I know Dennis said that Raston Chase and Gulakesh Moti will be the 2 spinners in the team. And I also had Akil Hussain in my 11. I don't have Shamar Joseph in my 11. So we shall see tomorrow the 11 that the captain and the coach decides on.
Thank you for those thoughts. We had a failure just now as it regards to the power, but nevertheless, we are back on. Michael, I know you're man in the comments, and we have a few people that are watching already from what I can see here from my monitor. And I just want to remind the folks that the Cricket Hall of Fame based in Connecticut, United States, is the main sponsor for this show, along with the Development Academy and our sponsor in India, Ahari Sportswear, where anything cricket, you can check them out. Norman, that based in Barbados. A few years ago, I gave him the authority and the charge to make sure that this company gets sail in the Caribbean, which is doing a marvelous job with so far. And we're encouraging other countries and viewers all over the world to engage Ahari Sportswear. They were Bakra Sports first, and then now they have changed their name in their reform. And so we're asking you to support them whenever you need sportswear or gears. Give them a call and tell them that the Development Academy recommend them to you, and they will give you off price of the usual price that they usually marketed to. Michael, the victory by West Indies over Australia, what does that do for their mentality, the strength, their mind, and what will be translated? Because we know body language has a lot to do with the performances of any human being, what went on in the subconscious. And a victory over Australia, depleted as they are, must be a good feeling going into a very important World Cup game with Papua New Guinea, because one must not think that Papua New Guinea is a walkover. For just coming to the World Cup, they would have showed determination, grit, and they have a point to prove that they belong at the World Cup. Based on history, West Indies, when the 50 over World Cup was being staged in Australia, West Indies went flat out to Ireland, that was an associate at the time. West Indies barely scraped through the UAE in that World Cup as well. We must also note that during the World Cup in Australia, the T20 World Cup, West Indies lost to the associate Scotland, and and even in the qualifiers for the ICC 50 over World Cup in India, the West Indies almost beaten by underdogs, the United States. So we understand and know Papua New Guinea will not be a walkover. What I want to gauge from you, since you are a professor of mind power, what will the West Indies have to do to stay on top against Papua New Guinea, bearing that their history, the subconscious, what would have gone on before, well filter in this team now, because the teams intend at times to take things for granted. Can the West Indies afford to take Papua New Guinea for granted this World Cup tomorrow, starting at 10:30 United States time?
Thanks for the invite again, sir. It's always a pleasure to be on this forum. Mind power. We have to get rid of this thing about mindset. If you set your mind, you're in trouble. Don't set your mind. No mindset. They have to be fluid. The person who is going to make the difference here, and I believe I heard Brother John Melbourne talk about it, it's going to be Darren Sammy. Stop talking about not being a walkover. They are a walkover. We have to go into the thing confident. So Brother Sammy has to be able to tell these guys about his experience. Once you're in the dressing room, Sammy has to be telling them what he did. Boy, it's when, and you're just talking about the good times. So these guys can bring their minds up to winning. We already had 3 wins in Jamaica against Australia, against South Africa. 3 wins. And we won against Australia the other night in a warm-up. If we were even bowling boom ball, anybody remember boom ball or softball cricket? and you win. A win is a win is a win. So West Indies now, they have 4 solid wins under their belt. So they have the win, they have the wind in their sails. We cannot, when you go into a match, you have to be visualizing coming out the winner. You can't say this team is not a walk. Every team that you play is a walkover. It depends now on you now, bringing your A game to the thing. So don't come to test cricket playing, street cricket. Come to T20 playing T20. A great Hope should be in the team. He only scored 14, but I am not saying it scored 14. So whichever team Sammy picks for tomorrow's game, the entire energy has to be around that selection. And that's how you win. You have to have a winning mentality. And we have it. So we on the panel as energy givers. We can't say anything negative or anything. We can't approach the thing timid. It has to be a spirit of winning. And that's how I am looking at it. Remember now, I am the only doubting Thomas on this thing, not expecting West Indies to win. And last week, you guys convinced me to change my attitude. We are going to win. So now I am getting my champagne ready for the finals in Barbados. West Indies versus India. That's where the money is going to be. Those seats will sell for $2,000 a seat. That's what we want. And we want Prime Minister Matley to be accepting the trophy. So, those are the things. That's how I look at it, sir. So, coming from the mind power piece, that's where my mind is.
Norman, word on the street in Barbados that they want West Indies and India final. And in your last, because we know you're uncle with us for a short time, but in what you hear in Barbados, what the local fans is expecting, just for India to come and walk over by the West Indies, or a West Indies victory over India for Mayor Motley to be crowned the new Queen of the Caribbean, taking over from recently nominated the Honorable Portia Simpson Miller. What is the feeling of the locals in Barbados? What does the legacy means? How can it be interpreted? What do you want it to be? You're representing the public, and we're expecting you to speak on behalf of them. What does the public expect from a West Indies coming to Barbados for the final?
Okay, thank you. First thing, let me say, by having the World Cup in the West Indies, we've got to first look at the financial aspect that will come from it. It's a great occasion. Right now, Barbados is charged about the World Cup. Preparations are well ahead. I don't live too far from one of the practice grounds, the Windward Cricket Ground, and it's in beautiful condition. It's been since December that preparation for this World Cup has been going on. Kensington is in immaculate condition. Best I've ever seen Kensington in all of my cricket playing days. But at the presentation the other day, there were over 500, close to 1,000 people just there to see the presentation of the cricket ground. But having India in Barbados for the final, playing against the West Indies, is not only an upliftment for the Caribbean, but for Barbados itself. It's great to see them. It's financially. I was hearing talk that we might not have the facility, the space at the airport to cover those private jets that will come in. And it will be an honor to have the West Indies play in India, but it's far-fetched. We still got to get through the preliminaries. We still got to get through the Super Sixes. And then we got to get through the semifinals and to the final. But it will be an honor, and everyone in Barbados, I can speak for every individual in Barbados right now. They would love to see a West Indies India final. But in order to get there, we got to play the cricket to get there.
Definitely. Mike, we have a few people on the watching our show live at the moment. Do you have anything in the comments for us?
No, no, there's nothing in the comment right now. I'm not seeing anything.
I'm seeing here Andy Simit. Could you reach and see what Andy Simit is saying to us? Mr. Brown, the legacy that West Indies want to portray in this World Cup, the winning streak that we're on, do you believe that we can maintain the winning streak come tomorrow against Papua New Guinea and then Namibia, and we get now into the big game, which is New Zealand? And before you answer, I want you also to speak about the two teams that you expect to come out of the group. And I will also ask Mr. Eat and Leon and lastly, John Melbourne to speak about the group in this World Cup, the group that the West Indies is in. And just before I allow you to answer that, for clarity for everybody, the group that the West Indies is in, Papua New Guinea, Uganda, forgive me for saying Namibia, Uganda, New Zealand, and Afghanistan, we're in that World Cup group with. Mr. Brown, the two teams that you expect to come out of the group, and also some further comments on the winning streak that you expect the West Indies. And Mike, I know that you have, and I also have the book, The Winning Streak. All the elements therein. One of the things that the West Indies should never seek to do is to take any team for granted. And that's why I have trouble in saying that all of them is walkover, because the moment they start to think that this team is a walkover, they will not exercise the elements that are in mind power and also in the winning streak. Because you must be disciplined to be able to carry out. Reading a book, you have to make a sacrifice. Your mind and your attitude intends to go out on the road, but discipline yourself in such a way that you spend a few hours reading the book might give you that which it takes to go out on the road and to face whatever battle that is there to face. But if you don't know what is in the book, how can you have the elements? Because if you don't train, then how can you execute that which you are trained for in a game scenario? Just like somebody that is going to school, how can they do an exam without being taught first and studying? And so when they come now, they are expected to transfer that which they have been taught during class time into the exam that they are doing. And I just said that to and when Mr. Brown finished, might want to come back and respond to this, because we believe that the West Indies team must maintain a certain level of discipline in winning this World Cup. And the hype of Darren Sammy can also become detrimental to our team, because lest they take it for granted and other team realize that we're taking it for granted, and they now find a way to spring up on us. And before you know it, the West Indies is out of the World Cup. We were so confident going to Australia, and we never reached the other round. Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. We are all advised to take the positive lessons learned from our experiences, and we build on it, and we go moment by moment. In this case, we'll be going moment by moment, match by match. Last outing, we lost to Ireland and we lost to Scotland. Only victory came against Zimbabwe. Therefore, with that in mind, we have to avoid any slip-ups against Papua New Guinea or the Ugandan team. And once we get through those two games, we should be on a 6-match winning streak when we face New Zealand. Now, coming out of the group, West Indies and New Zealand are seeded, because that's an important element. They are seeded to come out of the group. And that's why they are placed in these groups with relative to their strengths and the other team's weaknesses. When we play New Zealand and then finally Afghanistan, Afghanistan is a very dangerous team. Out of all the lower ranked teams, they are very capable of beating any of the top ranked teams more than anyone else. And I think that that match against Afghanistan will be a very crucial game. So the build up to that must be meticulous, must be mindful, must be purposeful and full of intent. And why do I say that? In focusing on achieving victories is not just to win the game, but you must also have a good net run rate, just in case you end up being tied and the difference has to come through, the tiebreaker comes down to the net run rate. So you don't want to win and just barely win. Of course, you don't want to lose at all, but you need to win comprehensively and go in with a maximum run rate as possible. Now, the surface at Providence has generally been very slow. So we're looking at the entire tournament scientifically, because the pitches also play a role in how many runs can be scored. You ask any good curator, he will tell you that this pitch, based on how he prepares it and the science with which he prepares it, the X amount of runs are expected to be scored. Now, it doesn't mean you have to score that. You're not limiting yourself. What you are actually saying, this is the type of wicket that these people would be batting on. The pitches are slow. It means it's going to hinder stroke play because the ball is not coming onto the bat as quickly as you'd expect. So to answer your one question, is that the West Indies and New Zealand, I expect both teams to go through. We have never played Papua New Guinea in a T20 international before. So this is, new territory for both teams. West Indies is establishing, they are the first team or nation to host more than one T20 World Cup. Last time we had 3 venues. This time we have, I think, 7, 6, 7, 8 or 9 venues total. And I think we are primed to do very well. And finally, sir, if you could just permit me to say this, I hear Marlon Samuel's name coming up quite often. But let us remember, where did Marlon Samuels bat? And Marlon Samuels batted at number 3. I believe Puran is going to be batting at number 3 in this team. And he batted at number 3 in the first World Cup we won. He helped to set the pace by scoring 78 out of 100 and out of the first 108 runs that we scored. So Marlon Samuel was not anchoring the innings in that instant. He set the pace in that inning. The next World Cup, he led the chase with an 85 not out. And of course, it took Carlos Brathwaite to step up to the plate when you faced that final over and brought the West Indies victory. But Marlon Samuels was a different batsman. And it is good to say something, but you have to look at it in the proper context of who that person is and what did they bring to the table when they were actually playing. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Heap?
Who is Dennis?
Thank you, Mr. Codlin. Looking at the Papua New Guinea West Indies match tomorrow, what we can see just on the surface, that West Indies have won 4 of their last 5. On the other side, you can say Papua New Guinea has managed 3 out of their last 5. That in itself is not directly comparable simply because of the league or the teams that both are achieved their victories against. But we should not totally dismiss Papua New Guinea. What they lack in experience and perhaps skill, they make up with enthusiasm. The game of cricket is very popular in New Guinea since the 1890s when it was first introduced, and it is so popular there that there's a report that from time to time they have a match in which 50 players or more participates. So that shows the level of enthusiasm, and they've taken that since they've been elevated up to the level of playing in T20s, and they've shown that they can take on the group in their, teams in their group with a lot of competitiveness. Now, I believe if Papua New Guinea win the toss, the West Indies will bat first. And I believe if the West Indies win the toss, the West Indies will bat first. Because obviously, the West Indies will be looking to take more batting practice, and they may feel that they can take advantage of a team from the lower division. So I expect that we will see West Indies batting first. As regard the who will come out of the group, I have to admit that Afghanistan on paper shows that they have what it takes to challenge, and we will not forget the World Cup match ODI with Australia and Glenn Maxwell's performance. But Afghanistan is likely to give good competition. But of course, New Zealand and the West Indies, I think, are more likely to be the 2 teams that will come out of that group. That's my contribution on that one. Back to you, Mr. Codlin.
Mr. Leon, I'm going to give you a chance to come in, but I want Mr. Melbourne to get ready because he said something towards the close as it taking a shot at Afghanistan the other day. And after you, I'll ask John to come in, and then Michael will come back because he's the mind power expert and tie what is happening with Papua New Guinea, and maybe that could work towards something special in this upcoming game with the West Indies. Go ahead, Mr. Leon.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Mr. Coughlin, for inviting me again once more. We should go into this match tomorrow with the concept of not taking any team for granted. The dice cast, win, or if you don't win, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the home team. We expect to get, first of all, the home court advantage. The crowd should be on our side, meaning the West Indies. And of course, we should live up to that expectation that we get the support and we think of, forget about what happened in the past. Each team, how you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. We need to get out of the group. Group C, which includes New Zealand, West Indies, Afghanistan, Papua New Guinea, and Uganda. No team should be underestimated. We have to go there with the mindset that we need to win. And we need this team to win a home on their home ground. So West Indies having won twice before, they need to increase that with another advantage. The crowd support I talk about, and of course, Sammy's mentality is nothing but winning, is his emphasis. And it's going to be difficult to find the final level, but I think we should go in. I am of the opinion that we should have two strike attack in Joseph, to Joseph at least. I don't know who is going to get the axe, but I want to see two pacers, and we have to include Muti, whether they'll play only the other spinner, but of course Chase also has to be in that team too. And like I said before on another show, that Chase has been spoken to fill a role. And my friends, we have to go each time you get an opposition destroyed. Be it New Zealand, be it Afghanistan, be it Papua New Guinea, Uganda. Every team, you cannot underestimate them. Go there with the set. You need victory, and they should treat it just like that. Thank you, Mr. Coughlin.
John, what's happening from what you're hearing in Papua New Guinea? What's happening over there? Bring us up to speed of what's happening in Papua New Guinea and your views on West Indies inflicting further damage to them. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Junior. Well, first of all, there was a landslide in Papua New Guinea earlier this week that took many lives. And I have to believe it will have some impact on the World Cup cricketers now representing Afghanistan. Just how much they can overcome that tragedy and sort of put it aside, put it out of their mind and focus on the game, we shall see starting tomorrow. I don't think West Indies is going into this World Cup overconfident. I believe Captain Ravman Powell wants to prove himself not only as a West Indies captain, but that he can bring West Indies back to the top of the table in this format of the game. And I believe, along with the coach again, Darren Sammy, that West Indies will get the job done. As opposed to the last World Cup, where there was some level of confidence in going into the game. I think that World Cup, for me, West Indies went in with a lot of overage players, players that have passed their best. This West Indies team, as one of our panelists mentioned earlier, is probably the best West Indies. I think it was Norman who said it, probably the best West Indies team that has been selected in a long time. And a lot of these players are coming into their own as white ball cricketers. So I expect us to do well. I'd love to see them get to the final. As to who would be in the final with them, I mean, India, yes, but I wouldn't mind if Pakistan gets to the final with the West Indies. A Pakistan-West Indies game is always a great cricket game. It just seems you never know what will happen with a Pakistan-West Indies game. But as I say, I don't think we are going in overconfident. I think the captain is a level-headed guy and knows how to marshal his troops. So, but we will see what happens tomorrow. Back to you.
Absolutely. Mike, with the landslide and all that is happening in Papua New Guinea, the players on the Papua New Guinea team, what their mindset is going into this important game tomorrow. And if they catch the West Indies napping, do you think because they want to uplift the spirit of their fellow countrymen and family back home, it might just give them the added ingredients to go on and create? Because in every World Cup, we have seen that an upset is created. What can the West Indies do to guard against being upset by Papua New Guinea in this important World Cup game coming tomorrow? And I heard you said that first impression lost, and therefore West Indies winning tomorrow could set the pace for something bigger during this World Cup. Your thoughts?
Thank you very much, sir. Two things. No drinking tonight. No alcohol.
Oh.
Go to bed early and have a good meal. Not fast foods. Have a good meal. All right. With that said, that would mean that the brain in your head and the brain in your stomach are now working. And if they can communicate, you're in good shape. Being confident of winning. Remember what we said. I am calm and relaxed. You have to say those two words together. Calm and relaxed. India lost it was the 50 over World Cup. India was supposed to win, but our good friend Jayton was saying India was relaxed. He said he told the fellas to be relaxed. Ladies and gentlemen, both must go together. If you are relaxed, that means your entire system is loose, but your mind is in trouble. You have to have both now. You have to have calm in your mind and relaxed in your composure. If West Indies go in, like I said, well rested, you are not underestimating anybody, but you are not going to worry about anybody. If West Indies is prepared, practice, practice, practice. Practice does not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. So if Darren Sammy, the captain, has been talking these guys into being calm and relaxed, understanding that Papua New Guinea should not beat you, so why are you going in expecting a whipping? Go in expecting to be the victorious. And if West Indies goes in with a calm and relaxed spirit, and remember what I said, no drinking, no gallivanting. I was at a game at Sabina Park when I think we were playing, I think it was Afghanistan. And I was sitting beside the wicketkeeper's girlfriend. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, the captain came over to pick up the other player to go to a fete at 2 o'clock. A match is going to start at 10. That's how the West Indies players would want to behave. Now, the other good thing that is keeping them calm, I watched you, Mr. Codlin, talking with Brother Shallow at Sabina Park, where South Africa was playing the West Indies. It's very important that Brother Shallow show up at all these games. He must show up and he must stick his head inside the change room and say, fellas, good luck. You don't have to say much, you don't have to give no speech, because the only mind power expert on the West Indies culture thing is Brother Shallow. So he can, by osmosis, pass off to these players. You see, the first thing you're going to say as a player, look at the little fellow. I cannot afford to lose because that little fellow is going to be embarrassed. Your boss, that's the leader. So he has to show up, stick his head in the dressing room, good luck, fellows, and leave. If that mentality is kept throughout the entire tournament, this $300 million that is supposed to come to the West Indies will come, because now you will attract success. But it starts with Brother Shallow, and then it goes to Brother Darren Sammy, then to Powell. Then it goes down to kings of the team and the chase if they get a game, because they might not get a game. So who is on the team? All the success will flow from Brother Shallow coming down. The team has to be calm and relaxed. Not like India, relaxed alone. They have to be calm and relaxed. And the tragedy in Papua New Guinea that we're talking about, the landslide, that's their problem. West Indies can't be thinking about them now. Cannot be thinking about, West Indies cannot think about that. Papua New Guinea has to get that out of their mind. They can't think about that. So if they come to the game thinking about that, West Indies is going to have a walkover. They have to be here, calm and relaxed.
Yeah. As we gauge the last few, and I'll ask you to stay on screen, Mike. As we gauge the last few thoughts of Norman from Barbados, Norman, what has Mayor Motley done for cricket in Barbados? Because it seems like life is now brought back, and she's doing, it seems to us on the outside that she's doing a better job than the BCA president, Mr. Riley. Your views on Prime Minister Motley, and then Mike will filter some information, and maybe you could be our agent in Barbados in galvanizing support for when Mike breathe out what he will say. I'll allow him to make that to you. But just tell me, what's the vibes because of Motley in Barbados? What does the man on the street say about this wonderful lady? What she has done for cricket there in Barbados? The new life that we see breathing, how she managed to do that despite being a woman in a quote-unquote male-dominated sport.
Okay, thanks again. First thing, let me say, our Prime Minister, the Honorable Mayor Motley, is a cricket fan. She's the Prime Minister of Barbados, but she's a cricket fan. At that presentation, if you reminisce about the things that she was talking about back then in cricket, it would tell you that she's a cricket fan. Not only is she a cricket fan, she also wants the West Indies to win. And she wants our Mecca, as it is now being labeled, the season Mecca, the Kensington Oval, to be in top shape. When the idea came around about spending that 50 million. Yes, people inside society were talking, why are we going to be spending so much money? We just had a presentation the other day, and words have changed because what she's done to redevelop Kensington is amazing. There's so much things with the Ministry of Sports and the National Sports Council that they're doing for cricket. Our Prime Minister is totally behind cricket in Barbados. I think within the next 5 years, you will see a different for grassroots cricket and the present stage of cricket going on. As for the BCA are doing just as much as they can do. Yes, there's always a problem with cash trap. Obviously, the government will have more money than the actual BCA, or the BCA has to wait on Cricket West Indies. But what they're doing together right now is working hand in hand. And the Prime Minister is at the forefront. And if you can have your Prime Minister at the forefront of promoting cricket in your country, it can only go a long way. So you got to get hats off to her. She's done a wonderful job, and long may it last.
Mike, your thoughts on Mayor Motley and words to Norman and that.
Well, I wasn't really going to let the push out the bag, but I might as well, since we have a Barbadian on the line, he can go back and probably whisper to Mayor Motley. We are inducting the Honorable Portia Simpson into the Cricket Hall of Fame this October 5th.
And not to cut your executive chair of the Cricket Hall of Fame, but before you do that, just give a short bio about the Cricket Hall of Fame, and then you can continue so the viewers can know the Cricket Hall of Fame and what it is doing. And the best thing that it's doing right now, it is sponsoring this great and marvelous show on this great and noble channel. Go ahead.
Okay, just to bring up the speed, the Cricket Hall of Fame was invented or came into place back in 1980-81. And it's located in Hartford, Connecticut, USA. It is and still holds the title of the only and first Hall of Fame that is international. It's all over the world. We induct individuals from every cricket playing country into the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame, like I said, is located in the United States of America, and we copy places like Basketball Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, and Football Hall of Fame. So we are in that kind of atmosphere. So we bring individuals into the US once a year to induct them into this Hall of Fame. It has been doing this now, like I said, from 1981. So we are 43 years old, and we're doing our 43rd induction ceremony on October 5th, 2024. Now we are inducting the Honorable Portia Simpson, the past Prime Minister of Jamaica. And her claim to fame, she was the one who stood up for Chris Gayle to come back into T20, and his coming back has revolutionized the game of cricket. So we thought that with her being inducted into the Hall of Fame, it would make a difference. Now we have been watching the Honorable Prime Minister of Barbados operate, and we are excited because I noticed that she was the one who shut down ICC and told Brother Shallow, if Barbadians don't get into Kensington Oval to watch T20 cricket, they might as well take the whole thing out of Barbados. And I thought that was a powerful stand. And so because of that stand and what she's been doing for cricket now in Barbados, it's now trickling down to all the other islands, because I know my Prime Minister down in Jamaica is very upset that they didn't take a piece of the World Cup. They are embarrassed. They are now seeing what Barbados is doing. So we are planning to issue an invitation. An invitation has already been sent to induct Prime Minister Motley. The only thing is she has to come to the US to get the induction. So it's the first Saturday of October next year, and it will be at the beautiful Marriott Hotel, downtown Hartford. We're making a lot of room because we know every Barbadian in Hartford will want to attend. So you can bring that message for us, Mr. Norman. Tell the Prime Minister that you have been given a special invitation for her to come to the US the first Saturday in October next year. So that's what we're saying for the Hall of Fame. And it's been a pleasure working with Brother Codlin, with the Academy, the West Indies Cricket Academy, to do this kind of thing, because he's getting to the grassroots to tell them what is happening. At the Hall, we promote mind power training. We promote mind power training. If the men don't continue to use this training, the good thing is Brother Shallow has all the books and he has been filtering down the information, and we can see the mindset changing. We love to designate Mr. Norman to do the mind power piece for us in Barbados. So there are a whole lot of things happening in mind power, and so I hope the series for the West Indies will be a success, so that I can say it's mind power why we won. That's the only reason why I'm championing the West Indies. I want them to win for selfish reasons, so I can say it's the mind power that caused them to win. Thank you, gentlemen.
Norman, your closing thought.
Okay, thank you. I can remember Mr. Chambers having a little conversation with you with the mind power. I am very impressed with it. I can assure you right now I'm going to make some contacts with you, because the Barbados on the 19 team will be leaving at the end of the month. I will see if I can get in contact with the manager of that team, and we can start by using the youth, the junior teams of Barbados first. When I make my tour to India later down this year, I certainly will be using you as well to speak to these youngsters, because these youngsters are the future. Now, on the cricket point of view, I just want one thing, because I have to run. I'm busy now with organizing cricket today. From the zone of the West Indies team, I think it will be a good zone. I think that West Indies will qualify from that zone, but I believe West Indies will beat New Zealand and Afghan. But my mind is keep telling me all the time that I believe Afghan will beat New Zealand. The spin factor will be great there, and I believe net run rate will be a big factor in that game between New Zealand and Afghan to get you. But I would not say who, because I'm not too sure. But I believe West Indies will beat both of them. But in beating both of them, West Indies also have to beat the other three associate countries. Don't forget, Scotland beat us. But in 1998, I think 2007, I think it was Kenya that beat us. So we always have a little skid up, as you will say, when it comes to lower teams. But I believe that we are very much prepared, and I don't think we will see that in this year's World Cup. On the point of my West Indies 11, I have my West Indies 11 here that I would like to read out to everyone. It would be a team, and I must let you know, when they were picking the West Indies World Cup squad, I actually picked the exact team that Desmond Haynes read out. So I'm going to give you my 11 for the first match, and I believe this will be the first 11 that we'll play. It goes King and Charles to open the batting. Puran will bat at 3. Roston Chase will bat at 4. Powell will bat at 5. Hitmeyer will bat at 6. Russell will come in at number 7. Shepherd will come in at 8. Then you have Hussein at 9. And you got Joseph at 10. That's Zari Joseph, the vice captain. And number 11 will be Moti. I believe that would be my 11, and I believe that's a powerful 11 that can win the first match against Papua New Guinea and prepare for the rest of the tournament. It's indeed a pleasure to be on this tour today, and I wish everyone all the best. Did enjoy myself, and I hope to be back.
Thank you so much. And certainly when the World Cup gets to Barbados, we'll be engaging you for your thoughts there, because we're not only going to cover West Indies, but we're going to cover the major games in the World Cup as we build towards what would be an exciting Super 8. Thank you, Norman, for joining us, for taking time out, for being on set with us. And we certainly wish you the best and hope that you will bring the mind power message to the Barbadians that are local there in your lovely country. Gentlemen, we want to go into a player now, and that is Akil Hussein. And Akil Hussein, as I heard you panelists mention early on, is being left out of your team because I heard you mention Chase and Muti, and they're in farm. And we know that Akil Hussein would have lost farm, but not in a plain area now, but a beautiful story for this young man. And Mike can come in where this concern as well. This is what Akil Hussein said a few days ago when a fellow journalist meet upon him. This is his story. I remember one time I was just sitting outside with a couple of my friends. We're all very close, and there was this red light on my friend's t-shirt. We were trying to move it like we thought it was something you could dust off. And then when we came to our sense, that was a laser on his shirt, we all run off. Akil Hussein, reflecting on his upbringing in Levantale, one of the crime hotspots in Port of Spain, Trinidad. This is what this young man rose up out of and now find himself in a West Indies team that is potentially poised to create history, becoming the very first team to win the World Cup at home and an unprecedented third time. Akil Hussein, based on his experience, can this motivate him? And should this put him in good stead to find and rediscover his form that brought him into this team in the World Cup 11, despite you initially not having him as the second spinner? Because we all know Muti took over as the #1 spinner now based on what he has done against South Africa here in Jamaica. But your thoughts on Akil Hussein from the troubled village there in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, so interesting, Junior. The squad that Norman just read, I have basically the same squad. Only one change. I have Chase instead of Hetmeyer. But I do have both Hussein and Gudakesh Moti in my squad. And because I believe Akil Hussein has been a pretty good spinner for the West Indies the last couple of years, and he can also score some runs at the bottom of the order. So I believe Akil Hussein will be in the squad. And you talk about the wickets and being slow. I think Dale mentioned about the pace of the wickets and ball not coming onto the bat. Ruston Chase, Akil Hussein, and Gudakesh Moti will be asked to do the job of getting West Indies over the top on those wickets. So I kind of smiled when Norman named his squad, because, as I say, the only difference with mine and his is that he has Hetmeyer and I have Chase. I still believe, not Chase, Shea-Hope. I believe Shea-Hope is still the best batsman in the Caribbean, and I'll put my marker on that.
Mr. Eat, your thoughts on the upbringing of Akil Hussein and what this World Cup means for him, the very first in his career, despite the background which he's coming from.
Well, thank you for sharing that story with us, Mr. Codlin. It is very obvious that throughout history we have learned of perseverance and perseverance and the desire to succeed. And we've seen it happen in more than one occasion. And in the case of Hussein, I take my hat off to him for overcoming the background from which he arrives. And I give him very much praise for his ability and his talent and his dedication at the task. Now, one of the things to note that Hussein is currently ranked number 8 in the ICC T20 bowling statistics, as opposed to Moti, who ranks number 27. However, that being the case, we know that players from time to time have good days and bad days. Right now, Moti has shown that he has what is required to do the job. And therefore, in my team, I would certainly have Moti rather than Hussein. But that is not a condemnation, perhaps, of Hussein or looking down on his abilities. He will rise again, and certainly Moti may well fail. But the point is, going into this series, Moti has shown that he has what it takes to do the job. Now, my 11, of course, would be slightly different to those of Norman and Mr. Melba, because I would have Russell, Hope, Alzari Joseph, Nicholas Poran, Powell, King, Charles, Moti, Chase, Shamar Joseph, and quite likely Rutherford. There's not likely to be, Hetmeyer's not likely to be in my team because purely on performance. I know what he's capable of, but based on performance, and we have to get to the point where we are a performance-based team. White ball coach Darren Sami has said he's relying on the natural aggressiveness of West Indies cricket to take West Indies team home. And in this case, the aggressiveness must mean that we have to go for the players who are showing that they have what it takes to take us over the top. And by way of saying goodbye, I want to remind our listeners and viewers that yes, you cannot underestimate teams such as Papua New Guinea because the adrenaline flows very strongly when you're taking on a giant, and everyone wants to be a giant killer. So West Indies has better be prepared for a fight, even though it looks like it possibly may be a one-sided affair from the other side. But Papua New Guinea will be coming for a fight. We also should remember to recognize that Papua New Guinea will be playing this match most likely in memory of the flood victims. So that will be another driving factor. And they will also be remembering the recent passing of their most famous female player that exists, that has played cricket in Papua New Guinea. So they have a lot of irons in the fire, heating and driving them towards what they expect to be perfection over the West Indies. So that is my take on that, Mr. Codlin.
That's the reason why you have to stay on this channel. This is the reason why you have to keep tuning into this channel. And when the ads are being run, you have to watch the ads, then you watch the video. Spend a little time on this channel because you will not get these information on any other channel than the West Indies Cricket Development Academy channel. Mr. Brown, the team is playing in Guyana. The question is that you can't play Moti and Akil Hussain in the same team. The question with Maya But bearing that the game is in Guyana, will the selectors seek to please? We remember what went on years ago in Barbados. Will the selectors seek to please the public or the greater good in maintaining the winning streak like you talk about, the momentum with this West Indies team? Because a strong 11 and the best 11 at this time does not include, I believe, Akil Hussain. Do you think differently?
Yes, Mr. Codlin, absolutely think differently. Hussein should be in the 11. I expect him to be there. I expect Moti to be in the 11 also. The bowling unit is made up of bowlers to perform different roles. Hussein is effectively, as we know, he's a spinner, but he is also the opening bowler. He's used in the opening role. And that role is when people take chances in the power play. So you expect him to be more expensive, but also be able to get a wicket or two in those opening overs. And he's a different kind of spinner to Moti. Moti depends more on turn, the orthodox left arm spin, turning away from the batsman. Hussein, you will notice, brings the ball into the batsman with the arm much more than Moti would. He's a different type of left-handed spin bowler. So even though on paper they seem to be similar, the only similarity is that they use the same arm to bowl the ball. And there the similarity ends. He's also more than capable. He's not in the role of an all-rounder, but he's capable of making runs. So I expect both of them to be in the squad. And one of the things with all that we are speaking of, the West Indies selectors have to be mindful of picking the right team for the right reasons. You can't pick a team to satisfy home crowd because you're asking for trouble when you do that. They have to go in and pick players who can respond to the game situations in a calm and efficient manner and who are consistent with what they do and how they perform. So I expect both of them to be there. And yes, if you speak about Guyanese, one of the persons in terms of with Hetmeyer, him and Rutherford and Shepherd are vying for spots, and one or two of them is not going to make the team. You know, and I think the one that is least likely to play for me would be Hetmeyer, because if he plays, he has to play in the role of finisher, means he's going to bat at 7 or 8. And Rutherford has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's much more effective and in that role than Hetmeyer would ever be, or has ever been. So those are my comments there with that, sir.
Mr. Francis.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. for
I know you are well. I know you are well aware of what went on in Barbados and that boycott.
The boycott with South Africa?
Right. And this is maybe one of, because the learned Mike Chambers asked me yesterday if the team put out. But if you can remember way back in history, this is one of the things that West Indies doesn't name a 11, even though they departed from that a little when we were in Australia earlier this year, but never in the white ball game since that time name a 11 before the game, because they don't want to, the fans not to come. Are we looking, is the locals in Guyana expecting all their Guyanese to play? Would you bear in that this is not in the best interest of West Indies cricket, but the World Cup is about money? So I don't know your views on because you might have a packed Guyanese stadium for the game against Papua New Guinea if they were to play all Guyanese. But would that work out in the detriment of West Indies team? And I speak on the base of getting it right in the very first game.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Sometimes the home team does try to influence the selectors, but I don't think the West Indies should adopt that policy. I'm going to start by giving you my team, that the one that I would pick. Were I a selector, I would pick King, Charles, Puran, Chase, Powell, Russell, Shepard, Shamad Joseph, Akin Hussain, Alzari Joseph, and Moti. You got 5 Guyanese in the squad. All can play, in my view. And I would leave out Rutherford and Hetmeyer. Hetmeyer is a good player, but to me, I'm not satisfied that we're getting the best out of him at this time. Rutherford, it's unfortunate, but he has, to me, if I were a selector, I would have just leave him out and just play this. Home team advantage, the crowd gonna support the team. They know they can have everything the way they want it. The important thing, West Indies needs a victory, and our emphasis should go in what team will have an opportunity to beat the opposition, be it Papua New Guinea, be it New Zealand, be it any other team. And my view, stick to the basic. Sammy, you know the condition as well, and you work with the feeling and going into the match, you need to win. And each opposition that is put before you, never take them for granted, because we know what can happen. And whatever other object outside of the playing condition, we should just set aside and just focus on one thing, winning, and win. Put a team there that you feel can win. And I believe my team will bring a victory for the West Indies. Thank you so much, Mr. Coughlin.
Mike, thank you, Leon. Mike, you speak in previous shows about insularity and not making it because we understand we can never get rid of it, but you spoke rightfully by saying it should not become evident. West Indies playing in Guyana. The truth is, Maya can never be in the best 11 that the West Indies put out on the field at this time because of his lack of form and his cricket being fall off. If West Indies were to play Maya in this game tomorrow, what could potentially happen in the minds of the others? And we know that many of these things are hidden from the natural eyes of men. The energy, the feel-good factor, the winning streak, the things that are attached, the cohesiveness really of a winning 11 might be disrupted with Hetmeyer being in the 11 at the expense of a performing guy. Should Coach Sammy, Captain Rodman Powell lean to what the public wants in Guyana, or should they maintain the winning team coming from Jamaica, coming from Trinidad into Guyana for this important game against a Papua New Guinea, which learned journalist Mr. Brown said that they are energetic, they are motivated. Rather, Mr. E, they are motivated to go out and get the job done because there are people in Papua New Guinea that need something to hold on to. And a big win against the Giants, the 2-time World Cup winners, the West Indies, might be what they need to do to spur life back on in Papua New Guinea. should Darren Sammy and coach should Darren Sammy, the coach, and Captain Powell, if they play Sherman Hetmeyer, would it be a mistake?
If they play Hetmeyer, it would be a beefsteak.
All right.
I would love to see Hetmeyer in front of his home crowd. Hetmeyer is from Guyana, right?
Yes, he is.
He is? Hussein is from where?
Trinidad.
Trinidad. So you have a choice. Who else is from Guyana?
Shepherd, Rutherford.
Yeah,
Rutherford.
All right. So now, all those names that we are calling, you know, they are in the team. They were selected to be a part of the team. So how can it be a mistake to pick somebody for a special reason? As long as they are in the team, that means they should be played. If they could play 15, they would have a 15-man squad. But we can't play 15, it's only 11. So now this is where the insularity and the money come in. Who is going to draw the crowd? Who will the Guyanese come out to watch?
Shammai Joseph.
Will Hetmeyer draw a crowd? Now in his head, he is going to be saying to himself, I cannot afford to fail in my hometown. So this might be the incentive that will bring him out of his cocoon. So we have to be careful. And like I said to everybody, the person who is going to make the difference in this World Cup, ladies and gentlemen, is the Honorable Dr. Shallow. He is going to have to be at every game that is played.
So just to get it clear from your mic,
yes,
you
sir.
would play Sherman Hetmeyer.
Just because he's from Guyana.
But you have 5 from Guyana, Mr.
But I would play all 5. If
John,
I was selecting the team, if you pick if all 5 can play and you have enough bowlers and batsmen, you have to remember, you know, the World Cup, ladies and gentlemen, when we come off this thing, Shallow is going to be adding up home. You just heard, I just came off of a show, listening to a show. They are saying 300 million is going to be made by the World Cup. That is the vision, not bringing the World Cup to the West Indies. If the money don't come and we bring the World Cup, we are in deep trouble because the Honorable Prime Minister put the money out there to attract money coming back, not the cup not going to bring no money. So they have to make everything possible for the win. The Honorable Prime Minister is going to have to be when they play in Barbados, and she is going to have to stick her head in the room and say, boys, I'm here, you're going to have to win. It's the extra movement of the people in those iconic positions that will cause the team to win. Notice every time a team win, they end up at the White House in the US. Every team that win end up at the White House.
But that's after the fact.
Right. So these guys must see Prime Minister Matley, these guys must see Sir Shallow, the president, so that they have something in their heart that they're playing for. Hetmeyer in front of his home crowd. The other guys, Hussein, I would play him over the youngster with what's his name? Motley?
Joseph. Moti.
No, what the other guy name? Moti. No. I would play if somebody has to be dropped, is him dropping, not Hussein. if what you're working, if we can do the logistics and statistics, ladies and gentlemen, don't work, because those are all going, you have to go from the gut, the gut feeling, the second mind is in the gut.
Yeah. Let's hear what John has to say.
John.
Mr. Melbourne.
Well, as I say, as I mentioned before, I picked my team, and I have Hussein and Moti in my team.
Too.
Now,
What about
as
Hetmaya?
far
Hetmaya is the
as
most
far as
troubling one.
Hetmaya goes, I don't have Hetmaya in my team.
Neither me.
I have Shea Hope,
Yeah.
because as I said, I believe it. Shea Hope is the best batsman in the Caribbean, in the
True.
West Indies. Now, if it's a debate as to which Guyana needs to play, I think it would be Shamar Joseph ahead of Hetmaya.
Exactly.
I'm
I hear
telling
you,
you.
John. I love it, John.
Yeah, I don't, I don't have anything against Shimran Hetmaya. I just think that I prefer Shea Hope in my 11 than Shimran Hetmaya. So to Romario Shepherd ahead of Shorfian Rutherford.
Yes.
You know, but as we all have our selections and our reasons why we select our 11s. And one thing I must say, I have never had the same 11 as the selectors do when they put that team on the field. So, but I have Shea Hope ahead of Hetmaya in my squad.
Mr. Heath, you never play Hetmaya tomorrow. Am I right?
You are so correct. I don't think that we should put a player in the team simply because he originates from that island.
That country, yeah.
We must play the best 11, and the best 11 will win, and you will get the reward of that 300 million when you have a successful team and a successful lifting of that trophy in your island. You're not going to get, the insularity we speak of. It is right there if we're going to play it simply because he comes from that particular island. It has to be based on your ability to deliver the goods. And the goods we're looking for right now is a win, and the win translates into lifting the cup.
Exactly.
Absolutely. As we seek to draw close to this program for today, the West Indies send out a team as the women's team, and we know the Hall of Fame is a big promoter of women's cricket. And West Indies will be touring Sri Lanka during this World Cup that will be held here in the Caribbean. And the team reads Ailey Matthews, captain, Shemaine Campbell, vice captain, Afi Alia Alain, Shamela Conwell, Afi Fletcher, Cherry Ann Fraser, Charlene Henry, Zida James, Joseph, Chadi Nation, Kimisha Ramara, Stephanie Taylor, Rashada Williams, and Wilmot to close out the team. I'll pass on the team to you all in a bit. Mr. Dale, changing course a bit. The West Indies women team playing in the shadow of the World Cup. Is this good for the women's game? Because everybody will be glued to the World Cup no matter which team is playing. Would you pay keen attention to what is happening in Sri Lanka as opposed to what is happening here in the Caribbean as it regards to the World Cup and the United States?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Codlin. Well, definitely you have to pay attention to both of them. If you are a cricket analyst, cricket fan, whatever it is, it does not matter because you can keep up with both series, the World Cup and the West Indies tour. And right now, the women are on a very, very, they're filled with confidence, and we boast perhaps the best female cricketer in the world right now. And we need to celebrate her, celebrate the team because they are doing extremely well. And I will be following them every stroke, every delivery that is made. Our following any team should not be determined by anything other than our innate interest in the game. Once we have that interest, we need to do it. And if I may say this, though, we have to remember that it's 2 games that will be played in Guyana, and most of the tickets would have been sold already, especially for the first game. So on the eve of the game, you're not going to find many persons walking up because the 11 is going to be named literally at the last minute. So nobody, will be, it won't have that great effect on who actually goes to watch the game, I do not believe. For the second match, perhaps, and Guyana, we name out players and we mention them, but we have to also remember they all have different roles. Hussein from Trinidad is a spin bowler. Petmaya is a batsman. Rutherford from Guyana is a batsman. Shepherd from Guyana is an all-rounder. And Moti from Guyana is a left-arm spin bowler. So if anything like for like, it would be Hussein against Moti. Shepherd against, say, Andrew Russell, Ruston Case. That would be I think, the like for like matchup with those players, if I may just add that.
Okay. Mike, the women playing in Sri Lanka in the shadows of a World Cup. Did the West Indies make a genuine mistake here?
They are not in any shadow, so I wouldn't say they're in a shadow. They have to play sometime. And so I am not upset that they are playing while the World Cup is going on. After that being said, I am upset that my player, Natasha McLean, is not making it back to the West Indies. All right. So with all that said, Jamaica has Henry, Taylor, Rashada, Wilmot, and Nation. So we have Jamaica have 5 persons in the squad. Is that correct?
Yeah, you are correct.
Right. So it's the same thing now we're talking about. Is that because of the insularity? But if they are there, and if you don't play some of these players or most of them, then the Jamaicans going to get upset. So we have to be careful now how we make the matchup. Not only do we want to win, but we have to make sure that the win also produce money. So I am not worried about insularity. I am just worried that we use it the proper way.
In the comments, Rutherford for sure over Etmaya. And Shamar Joseph should play over Azari Joseph. No, all 5 can't play. Nonsense. Etmaya got replaced. B. Rutherford. The 2 can't play in the 11. Shamar will go for a lot of runs. And Desmond Gale, big program. Keep it going. That is some of the comments. And the summit. Blessings to the panel and viewers. And somebody from Trinidad, special SOS Music, aka Special Operation. Good day, team. So we have some comments there for the those that are watching the show. Gentlemen, panelists, thank you so much for coming back over and previewing this first game against Papua New Guinea that starts tomorrow at 9:30 Jamaica time. there in Guyana at the National Stadium there in Guyana. Just for the viewers to be sure as it regards to the time, and Papua New Guinea, June 2 against the West Indies. That game starts at 10:30 Eastern Caribbean time on the United States, 9:30 a.m. Jamaican time. And we will play Uganda on the 8th of June. That game starts at 8:30 p.m. American time, 7:30 p.m. Jamaica time. That will be at the National Stadium there in Guyana as well. June 12, 8:30 p.m., 7:30 p.m. Jamaican time in Trinidad and Tobago. Gentlemen, we will watch and be commentators for the fans on June 12 against New Zealand right on this channel. We'll take them right through the night. So have your sleep from in the morning because we are going to get to work in the night. We want to hear some commentary from Mike Chambers and John Melbourne, Mr. Brown, Mr. Heath, Mr. Francis. The fans should be thrilled to hearing your voice on commentary for the New Zealand game. June 17 will take on Afghanistan at 8:30 p.m. American and Caribbean, Eastern Caribbean time, 7:30 p.m. Jamaica time at the Darren Sammy National Cricket Ground there in St. Lucia. And those games should be great. We'll come back on Monday to review the game with Papua New Guinea Monday morning and the West Indies that will be played tomorrow. We'll come back Monday to review that game. Executive Chair of the Cricket Hall of Fame, Michael Chambers, also a contributor to our academy. Thank you for joining us. Leon Francis from the Cricket Show in the United States, also a nominated Cricket Hall of Famer, slated to be inducted October 5th. Thank you for joining us. Honorary Secretary of the Cricket Hall of Fame, that is based in Connecticut, United States. Fellow journalist, Mr. Dale Brown, thank you for joining us. Cricket Hall of Famer and contributor to our academy as well. I mean, all you gentlemen are contributors now. That should be noted.
Mr.
Thank you, John Melbourne, Cricket Hall of Famer for
Mr. Codlin.
yes.
Permit me interrupting for 1 second because I feel very strongly about this issue, and I wanted to echo my disappointment at the fact that the West Indies team, women's team, has failed to recognize and include Natasha McLean.
By all means, go ahead.
If you look at the recent 2 years of the women's version of the CPL and the T20, Natasha has produced, and I'm not sure the reason why she's being overlooked so consistently. And I feel very strongly about this, not because she's a Jamaican, but because of her performance and her production. So I strongly hope that these selectors and the coaches will take a second look and ensure that we do get an opportunity for someone like Natasha McLean to grow in the sport, because she has what it takes. Thank you, and I apologize for interrupting.
No problem. Maybe that's an issue that we will have to explore after the first game with Sri Lanka and the West Indies female team. We will have to explore that issue and to find what is happening with Natasha, and if this is something that we need to speak to the JCA about. Hall of Famer John Melbourne, thank you for joining us again. And
Thank you so much, sir.
yes, and recently nominated and slated to be inducted in the Cricket Hall of Fame come October 5th, Mr. Dennis Heath. It's a pleasure always to have you on set. Before we leave, there is advertising for the Hall of Fame advertising document that at the moment we have record viewers on set. And as we close out, I just want Mike Chambers to give a little info about that and how can the viewers make contact with the Hall of Fame if they're interested in purchasing one of the ads in the ad book. Just give them a bit of information. Also, that we're asking that you will not use our videos without our consultation, and you must get in touch with us before you use our videos on editorial or any other medium which you want to use our videos. Get in contact with us, have a conversation with us, and once something can be worked out, we will allow you. But if you do it without our knowledge, and we will find out and we will take legal action against you. We hope that we will not have to do that. Mike Chambers, tell us a little about the ads and how the viewers can get in touch in being a part of what the wonderful work that you have been doing there in Hartford.
Thank you again, sir. You can get in touch with the Cricket Hall of Fame at crickethof.org. crickethof.org. Or you can call me at 860-250-2796. We have a website and we have a program booklet that we are advertising for. So you can contact me at 860-250-2796. Thank you all.
Thank you for joining our show, and we hope to have you back Monday morning as we review the first World Cup game with the West Indies and Papua New Guinea starting tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Jamaican time, 10:30 p.m., 10:30 a.m. in the Eastern Caribbean and also in the United States. And remember to tune in to tonight's game when the United States takes on Canada in the first game of the World Cup. That starts at 7, and that match will take place at in Texas at that beautiful facility. From me, your host, Junior Codlin, head of the media arm of the West Indies Cricket Development Academy. Thank you for joining us. Panelists, thank you, and goodbye until Monday.